Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I thought we'll go over the changes from the dev server the last day or so. We had a look at the F-35, which was added for Sweden. It's obviously not finished yet, but this was part of those changes. Now we're going to have a look at the rest of them. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe and also like the video. Let's get started. The first one is for the L-39ZA, the Albatross. This you can actually pre-order now if you want to pick it up, and it's probably going to be available pretty soon. What they ended up doing is removed its automatic EFS and basically made it a modification. This doesn't really matter because obviously it is basically a vehicle that's premium, so you'll get all the modifications for free. Technically, what you can do to make the repair cost lower is uninstall modifications that you don't want to use, but it's not going to make a huge difference, so I wouldn't worry about that. Another thing which is a bit more useful and interesting with the Albatross is they have actually changed its cockpit. They've added it, which is really cool. So this is the cockpit on the vehicle. You can see that it's incredibly cramped, and also you have the cockpit behind it since it is a trainer aircraft. But it looks really nice. It's just, as I said, incredibly cramped in here. So I definitely wouldn't want to go for it myself. But don't think the shoulders would fit. But generally, it's cool to see that they've finally started to add in all of the cockpits of the different vehicles. Sticking with aircraft, we have the Mirage III S. So they've completely changed its flight model. You know, they've fixed the missile on it, the good old Falco. It actually works now, but the flight model has just been completely changed in terms of its flaps and then also its AOA. So we'll have to see what kind of goes on with it. It shouldn't be something which massively changes it, but the TLDR, at least according to the data mine, is that it's worse than the Mirage 3C, but slightly better than the Mirage 3E in terms of maneuverability. Obviously, the engine is the bit that matters when it comes to the overall power, which this one has the Snegma ATAR 9C. They've also changed the Z10s, not just the standard Z10s, but these ones. Once again, just slightly modifying their flight models in a little bit. It's not really going to make a huge difference in terms of how they play. Some people have been asking me about the Z10ME. Is it going to have access to all of its new systems and all of this stuff? I don't know, obviously, but at least it's kind of looking like it, especially since it's modeled on the vehicle itself. So hopefully it does get access to it. For the Japanese with the F2, we have some pretty cool stuff. First of all, they added multifunction displays to it. They haven't added the digital HUD yet, but you can see here the multifunction displays, and that means that you can kind of like screw with them, which is kind of fun. If I can remember how to do it, it's definitely not this one, but you get the idea. You have multifunction here, and then you can switch between them. So you can have the good old setup there. You can also have this one change as well. Two different ones. One looks like it's not finished yet. And then you have the tactical map at the bottom. So yeah, all they have to do is add in the digital display in the center. And then I think we'll be good to go on this thing. The actual cockpit looks really nice, and also at the same time, it just has a lot of cool factors on it. So looking forward to seeing how this one goes. Still waiting for the anti-ship missiles to actually be fully put in, but apart from that, should be all right. They've also changed the MiG-29 Sniper's internals. So the RWR has actually changed to the SPS-20V. So you can see that right here. I think that's kind of interesting. So that's the general stats. Another nerf to the Yak-28B has come in as well. You know how we talked about it lost its bomb CCIP? Well, it also lost its cannon CCIP. Now, losing the cannon CCIP is not a huge deal. The vehicle only has one cannon with 50 rounds, but it's still kind of rude. So yeah, this vehicle just lost all of its, let's call them additional systems, which kind of really sucks. Also, at the same time, there was a bug with the RH-66 when it comes to the Hydras, and then also the missiles and the rockets and stuff, but it looks like they've fixed that, so everything should be generally fine. And just to give you a recap, remember, there are different loadouts now. So you have the Stingers, you have the Hydras, and you have the Hellfires. So if you actually want to kind of mix and match, you're able to do it. and you can bring along a bunch of different stuff. So that's really cool. And since it's kind of like in these pylons in the middle, you can bring what you want. So really cool that they've done that, and it means that the Comanche definitely is a lot more worth it than it was before. They've actually changed the Eurofighters radar. This might be like the 50th change that they've done to this thing, the Captor M. Basically, what they've done is the GTM transceiver now has an increased range. So it was 23, now it's 30, and the limit is 150. They've done the same thing with the search signal. Basically, they've just improved it quite a lot in terms of being able to see stuff on the ground, including they've added sea search and sea track signals to it. So you know how they've added in like a bunch of carriers and a bunch of destroyers into a lot of the maps? Looks like they're adding a lot of capabilities to radars in order to actually see them, which I think is kind of interesting. They've also done it for a few other vehicles, such as the Gripen, the Sea Harrier FA Mark II, and also they are, you know, kind of shifting with a few other stuff too, especially with like the F2, for example. They fixed the TWS target designation on it too, which is kind of fun. They've also changed some sounds here and there. So a lot of American vehicles got their sounds altered. Basically, anything that's based off of the M3. So you see the M3 Lee here. So stuff like the Ram, for example, as well, and the Grant, the engine sound has been changed. So instead of the M5 engine sound, which is what it was before, it's now going to be a Sherman one, the M4A1. They've also done that to all of the other Shermans too, so that's all kind of come in. And the M48 now, instead of having the M60 sound, for some reason have the M4A3 sound. So not entirely sure what's kind of going on there. Hopefully everything is okay and everything is sorted. Other changes to American vehicles. The Claws TADS system. There's been some huge changes to this one. First of all, they've actually added some more armor to it. So now it actually has some armored glass, which, you know, might help it in certain circumstances. Probably not many, though. The vehicle also has a lower max speed. They have reduced it. It was 125 basically miles an hour, or kilometers an hour, sorry. Now it's 113. The max reverse speed has been increased though to 41 kilometers an hour. They lowered its horsepower by 170 to 160, but doesn't make a huge difference. The other thing they also did to this thing is they've actually modeled the AIM-9X. So it is in-game now. It's got very similar stats to a lot of the other kind of missiles that are at the highest BR. So you can see it has a 50G maximum overload. It has the IRCCM, and also it has access to some pretty insane lock ranges, especially since it can be slaved to the radar, and this radar is pretty powerful. Other things they've also changed with radars, you can actually see that they've changed this icon here, which is this one, to make it look pretty. And then let's just plonk this thing down, just kind of show you the AIM-9X in action. So you can see here, you can just like quick switch between all of the jets, and then even like that far away, you could probably engage. But let's just go a little bit closer. You can see here, it just like goes straight to the target. Bish bash bosh, no problem there. And then also you can see like the range at which it can fire at. Like you don't have to be like anywhere near the thing to be able to fire it. And then it will just whoop, just flip around with its 50 Gs and then hammer the target. So yeah, the the good old 9X is looking pretty fun, and hopefully people enjoy it from a short range. So therefore you have a bit of a long-range one in terms of the AIM-9X, and then the AIM-120 for the a bit longer range one. The other thing to also mention is the launcher. You can't actually put it down now. So this is kind of how low it goes. So you can't like put it through the cab, which is something you could do previously. It doesn't elevate, and it just doesn't go down either. It is just locked to this position. So that's kind of weird. You can actually see that if you get like the curve right, you can turn the AIM-120 like all the way around to be able to hit something, but it doesn't always work, but it's kind of funny to watch. So yeah, the missiles have changed. I think that's really cool that they've decided to do that. And finally, it's been implemented. The other thing that's also been implemented for these kind of big ones is for the IRIS. They've actually added the ammunition storage data for the launcher, which holds the ammunition, which I think is kind of cool. And then also T-3485s, once again, since they're adding in all of these updated models, they are adding in like little pieces of armor all over them. This is for pretty much all of them. They added a small piece, 10mm piece of armor on the front of the hull, which is now volumetric, and then also the turrets are now volumetric, and the mantlets are now volumetric. So all of the T-34s are becoming volumetric after all of these kind of little changes to them. So there's just a lot of them going on. The other thing they've also done is they've added in new pitches for all of them since they're updating the models, right? So you can see the new pitches on a lot of these things. You can see, look at the difference. So you have this one, and then you have this one. Crazy difference between them. Yeah, so kind of old and then new. So they're doing that slowly but surely. With the Leopard 1A2, there's also a few little changes. There's 5mm of structural steel in front of the gunner's optic. That's been removed for obvious reasons. And the other thing that I think is kind of funny is they made it so you can shoot off the mudguards, but also they made it so you could shoot off the IR lamp. So you can kind of just like turn it off, or well, you can kind of just knock it off. I don't think the IR lamp can be turned on, unfortunately, but yeah, kind of funny to see that. They've also changed, once again, a bunch of naval stuff. So they've completely changed how the Bismarck works in terms of its balance. So we'll have to see how seaworthy it is. The Genizer now got its ammo reorganized in terms of kind of where it is. And then also the Sovietsky Soyuz got changed as well. So they added a radio station to it in the general model. What they also did is they completely changed the armor on it. So it's now 420 on the sides with 375 at the front. They basically changed also the bridge elevator, which is now a lot higher. So it used to be 280, it was then 380. They also added 65mm on the bow, so that's also turned up, and basically a ton more armor on the vehicle. So this thing should be getting way more chunky than it was before, and it already was pretty much the most chunkiest thing in the game. Talking about unchunkiness, the Vanguard basically got a change to its balance in terms of like how it floats, but also the hull plates are now 40% weaker. So yeah, quite a large nerf in terms of being able to stop damage coming in. So that's not very nice. They also gave the Yamato a little bit more armor, but nothing too crazy. Like it's just a very small amount. They added 25mm RHAs to the first left enclosed 127mm turret. So yeah, it's not anything that's going to be too nuts. I think they just kind of forgot about it, so now they're just adding it in afterwards. The Roma also got its kind of balance fixed, so it doesn't rock about all over the place. That seems to be kind of like a standard thing that they're doing with a lot of these vehicles. And then also they finally added in with the Japanese stuff with the Tansam Kai and the TADS. So now with this vehicle, if your launcher gets destroyed, you still survive. So you're able to use the little kind of mini vehicles with the missiles without it. Now, there is definitely an argument that other vehicles could probably get this, but right now it seems like only the Japanese one is the one that's getting it. So that's something to note. I remember with the Slam Ram, there was something to do with it didn't have like any guidance systems on the Humvee itself. It needed the radar vehicle for that, but I don't know entirely how that works. The next one is for China, and it's the engine for the Z10s. So the engine now is known as the WZ9C instead of the WZ9. They also changed the economy of the Z10A because obviously this is a squadron vehicle, so you'll have to grind it out instead of a premium vehicle, which is weird because right now it's sat there with a talisman, which is around. So yeah, I don't know entirely how all that works. And then also there is a few other kind of like image changes and stuff like that, but nothing too serious. So For example, the F2 got its icon, which looks really nice, and then also the F2A did as well. Well, sorry, no, never mind. Only the F2 got its thing, but everything else will get it in time. If there's anything else you want me to look at, since the dev server is coming to kind of a close, please let me know. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Warthunder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.